And welcome back to Los Caballeros Sports Village in Fountain Valley, California. My name is Dave Vincent alongside Dave Fink for this men's semifinals of the doubles in the Pro Division with Toddy Silveyra and Nadi Alvarado Jr. alongside Joe McCann and Desi Keegan.
Dave, all I can say is get comfortable, pop some popcorn, and sit back because we've got a couple of really good and really long matches in front of us. I'm expecting, Dave, a minimum of 2.5-hour matches here, at least 4.5 hours of handball in the next two matches. Now, our last few matches, Dave, we actually get paid the same, but we're going to earn our money here late in the evening.
You have two, if not three, of the top hitters in handball's recent past as we look back over the last 20 years with Nadi Alvarado Jr., who what I believe pound for pound is one of the hardest hitters of all time, just for his weight and his size. Then you have Toddy Silveyra, who is arguably the greatest, hardest hitter of all time, and then Desi Keegan in there. The question is how many of these balls will actually break? I think that's more of a question than anything else, Dave. I mean, you look here with Desi, and then Joe McCann's no slouch either, as we want to welcome in one of the other hard hitters who's near the show court, and that's Flash John Robles.
Well, I was hoping, Dave, that not only can we get some insight from Flash, but also if he could elaborate a little bit on that pound-for-pound list of hard hitters, because John's been in there with all these guys, dating back, what, John, about 25 years on the Pro Tour?
At least.
Mm-hmm. And still playing great ball.
Did you guys mention John Bike?
We haven't mentioned him yet, but I think he's reffing, so he's, like I said, on the court.
On the court, excuse me.
John, who's the hardest hitting guy that you faced in your prime, which would have been probably from about 1990 to about 2000, I'm guessing, somewhere in that area, maybe a little bit longer?
I would say that Toddy Silveyra and John Bike, definitely. Pound for their size, I'd say Munoz. He was another hard hitter. And I'd throw myself in the top 5.
You always play with Nadi Alvarado Jr. back at home at Spring Valley Lake Country Club. He's not he's not a heavy guy, but he does hit a really hard ball.
He does. He does. He gets a lot of forward momentum into the shot.
It's really unbelievable the leverage that Nadi Alvarado Jr. can get. And we've seen it so many times. But I'll tell you another guy that's cranking the ball, and he shouldn't even be on the list, but another one of your sparring partners in Chris Watkins, who's probably got one of the hardest serves that we've seen. Now, recently, Paul Brady, you haven't played against him, and Luis Moreno have also lit it up with some hard hits. But Toddy Silveyra here, at I believe 40 years of age, is on the court right now, Flash, playing alongside Nadi Alvarado Jr. And I'm sure it's a dream for Nadi Alvarado to be alongside somebody he looks up to in Toddy Silveyra.
You know, we didn't mention one other guy who I think was a very, very hard hitter, and that's Merv Deckard.
Was he?
Merv used to hit the ball so hard that a couple times when I played against him, when the ball hit the floor, instead of hopping left or right, it would like hit a wet spot almost, and it would take off. And
I didn't know he was a hard hitter.
He was a very hard hitter too.
Wow.
Merv Deckard didn't start playing handball until he was 19, and he became one of the top players in the world by the time he was about 28. John, when did you start playing this game?
Oh, I would say probably when I was about 10 years old, 10 or 12 years old. I didn't really play a tournament until I was about 16. So I've only been playing for, what, 20 years now?
3-0.
You see Nadi off to a really good start here in the service box, and Toddy is very intense.
Toddy can break over the ball like that. Are you serious? He's 40 years old, and he just went over the top of the ball and kept it flat down. Of course, the ball was picked up barely there, 4-0. Nadi Alvarado. Nadi felt that he was going to come in here and play the right side for Toddy Silveyra, and found out quickly yesterday that he was going to be the left side guy. Toddy not with the same spring in his step that he previously had. But both of these guys are right about the same age. Nadi gearing up to turn 40 here. And John, you know it's a little different at the age of 40 than when you were in your prime at 27, 28.
Things don't heal as fast. It's hard to come back to play open level ball 3 matches in a 24-hour period.
Well, some things just don't ever heal. They're always there. And they come back at the wrong times. That's some power right there from Desi Keegan.
And Toddy's just unfazed by the power. Desi drove a ball right at Toddy, and Toddy took it out of the air, as you see him doing again there.
And that ball's still into play.
Half out.
That was a flat left sidewall kill there.
John,
Four
talk
serve
about the
zero.
difference in mentality when you enter a tournament and you're just playing doubles as opposed to, you know, when you're playing just singles or maybe singles and doubles. I mean, certainly, do you feel a little bit more relaxed? It's almost like going out in golf and playing a best ball or a scramble
serve four.
as opposed to just playing your own ball. You have that sense of relaxation, or is it still the same intensity for you?
It's still the same intensity for me. You know, half of winning doubles is picking a good partner, and not only a good partner, but somebody that understands how to play doubles. And take it a step further, knowing how to play doubles with a lefty. That's
0 serves 4.
it takes a special kind of person on that right side to be disciplined and to understand how the ball is going to travel to the left side of the court or the center of the court, and it's still allowing your left-handed doubles partner to take that ball.
John, you do an amazing presentation at a lot of events. I know I attended your PowerPoint presentation at the Nationals here. Will you be doing that again here? And if so, can we webcast that?
I'd love to. I guess they just ran out of time this weekend for it. The schedule was sort of jammed up, so they decided not to have an instructional.
Well, we just had 2 back-to-back matches where we had 45-minute gaps on the show court where they just turned the lights off. Would have been perfect to have you in actually one of the courts mic'd up.
Well, actually, John did his presentation out under one of the tents, had his PowerPoint set up there, but I don't see why you couldn't stage one tomorrow during the big ball. I mean, people are going to be watching the big ball all day. They'll also want to come over and pick up a few of your tips. I know I'd like to.
Yeah, I was more willing and able to do it, but for whatever reason, it wasn't scheduled. So.
Silveyra diving over there on the left.
And Dave, how intimidating is it for Joe McCann and Desi Keegan, who are very good players, but they're playing against 2 guys that they've literally idolized?
Well, I'm not sure, because you talk to some players from Ireland who have no clue who some of the top Americans are. They might not realize. I mean, Desi Keegan is pretty educated about handball's past and the importance of some of these players, so I think that he would certainly know, but Desi's not intimidated by anybody.
5 serves 0.
I think it's worth a few points.
It probably is if you know about it.
Yeah.
But I found out just on the trip last week, John, that I would mention guys that were on the pro tour and they just really had no clue who they were. And I thought that's very interesting because, you know, you're the same age. You guys should probably know who each other are, but, you know, we're separated by a big pond.
Point.
Look at that little crack serve right there from Silveyra, and he gets a round of applause from the local crowd here.
Well, Dave, I feel sorry for any handball player that doesn't know Silveyra or hasn't seen Toddy in his prime, because Toddy is just truly a phenomenon. I mean, Dave, I know you and I have talked on and off the air. Maybe the greatest talent and maybe the best player in a prime for prime showdown that has ever lived.
In my opinion, which doesn't stand for anything, I put Silveyra prime for prime as the #1 player that's ever played the game. But, you know, we're talking earlier, we had Pauline Gallagher, who won the women's A in Ireland. She came here and was the 4 seed, I believe, 5 seed in the women's pro bracket. She was sitting here on her phone, and I said, Silveyra is warming up right now. She stopped what she was doing, took a picture of the computer screen, then ran inside to watch him play. She knew exactly who he was. She watched him on video and said, this is one of the best players ever. Between the legs with the left hand from Silveyra.
With power.
And then a nice little re-kill right there from Alvarado. And the crowd here liking what they're seeing.
Well, Nadi moved pretty well there, John. I know that Nadi tweaked his knee a little bit in Ireland. How is that knee? And, you know, what do you anticipate Nadi's plans being in the future in this Pro Tour season?
You know, Nadi's just such a competitor. He's in such great shape. He does 2-a-days. He works out in the morning and then plays handball at night. He's just in phenomenal shape. I know that he's had injuries in the past and he knows how to recover from them. And this one is just another one of the irritations he's got to deal with. But he's been there and done that.
Well, what's amazing, John, about Nadi is he'll never tell you about his injuries, but I know that last season he played injured at virtually every stop,
Ace serve 0.
and he'll never talk about it. And what that does not only makes it more difficult to play at your best when you're injured, but you can't prepare. And preparation really is what sets the best apart from the rest.
Second serve.
That and talent, of course.
You know, that's true, but it boils down to conditioning when you get to that level, as you know. I mean, there's not a shot he hasn't hit. There's not a shot he hasn't seen
Half out.
being hit. It's just a matter of maintaining that level of conditioning. You know, you can miss a couple days of handball practice, or even maybe a couple weeks of handball practice and still be as sharp as he is. You know,
John, Toddy looks like the Toddy of 10 or 15 years ago. Just beautiful, fluid strokes, so much power with both hands, and the ability to reverse the ball and keep it down with both hands.
Yeah, he's.
9 serve 0.
It's a shame that he had to take some time off of the Pro Tour to find out what he wanted to do in life, being a fireman, because
Second serve.
I think he would have racked up a few more national titles if he continued to stay on the tour.
But he's so confident with his creativity. He had a big setup there. There was a little contact. He took it. But Johnny, it's just really remarkable with what he could do on a court. When you would go up against him in pro stops, what was the one thing that you feared the most from him?
Getting shut out. He had the ability to, because he's a shooter, and he had the ability to run several points in a row on you. But
look at that. He has this ability to keep the ball down on his shots, which, I mean, he's 40 years old here.
Well, Dave, I don't believe being 40 is all that detrimental in doubles. And these guys have not yet played a hard match. I mean, we're sitting next to Flash here, Dave, who looked unbelievable yesterday in his first round match.
0 serves 9.
appreciate the kudos. You know, I had somebody come up to me today and ask me my name. And, you know, you go back 15, 20 years ago, like these guys, and you know who they were. And it's just a reminder that you're not the player that you used to be. You know, when somebody comes up to you and says, what's your name?
Well, no one knew my name 15 years ago, and they don't know it now.
Yeah, right.
They know it, but for the wrong reasons. We're going to say goodbye to John Robles, who stopped in
9
really
serve 0.
Thanks, you
quickly
guys.
here. Thank you for coming
Appreciate your coverage.
We might actually pass off the headset to Chris Watkins, the Waddy dog, who always, Dave, has a lot to say as long as you're talking about him. I knew that would pull him into the booth, Dave, and it did. I just reel him right in, Dave. It's almost like when you're on the dance floor and you're just reeling somebody in. And right now, Dave, I've caught him. He's got the hook.
You got to look for him in about another 3 or 4 years when he's running for office. Chris Watkins.
Oh, wow. This is going to be county commissioner, I assume. Something
He's a Democrat, though.
Oh, okay. All right. You see that look here as Nadia Alvarado Sr. sitting in the front row watching his son and one of the best handball players we've seen in Tani Silveyra, as we welcome in Chris Watkins, who was the finalist of the 40 singles at the World Championships. Chris, you played against Toddy because you're down in this area here. What is it? What was the one single thing that you were afraid of when you knew you had to play him in a tournament, or if you knew you had to play him in general?
Well, I think, you know, trying to hit a defensive shot against him that you think a good V pass, he'll be able to take the ball on the rise, shoulder high, and top it, hit it down into the, and pinch it into the corners.
How do you get that over? Because already we've seen here, and you're sitting behind me, he's already gone over the top in that traditional Toddy hit into a corner, and the ball stays down. We see Sean Linning do it all the time, but it's almost a different stroke. I mean, what are your thoughts when you look at that now and say, oh, well, that's the same guy that I played 20 years ago?
You know, we had the opportunity, Robles and I had the opportunity to play him last year, and he's so incredibly strong, just naturally strong. His shoulders are so strong. And so he's able to, like I said, take the ball out of the rise and just push it down into the corners with both hands. And so when you think you've hit a good shot, he's able to counter it with an offensive shot. And if you are not hitting the ball with enough pace, he'll eat you alive.
But these guys are hitting the ball so hard these days, especially with this fastball that we played with yesterday, that Toddy's still able to look at that ball, center it, and then go over the top of it and feather it down, which, as you know, we're getting to a point in our 40s where, look at that serve. He just cuts it in half.
And
But
Toddy is pumped, Dave. They're actually going for the shutout here.
12-0.
They're at 12-0, and they're fist pumping, and that's intimidating, don't you think? And Toddy goes for a crack there, but at 40 years old,
Point.
able to go over top of a ball to keep it down in the corner like that.
Well,
what are your thoughts?
Toddy wasn't even going to take that shot. He realized at the last minute Noddy wasn't going to take it. He made a quick adjustment and flat killed it in the right corner.
Look at Noddy's just standing there with his hands on his hips. Between the
Wow.
legs, off the sidewall crack. That's athleticism at its best.
Dave, can Toddy Silveyra right now be in the
Zero
top
starts
5 on
13.
the Race Rate Pro Tour?
Top 6.
Huh. I believe, Dave, in one match, he's a threat against any player in the game.
No question.
Particularly in a 1 game to 25 match is what we'll be using on the Race Rate Pro Tour this year.
Over.
Wow, that's called over before the ball actually rattles around Toddy Silveyra there.
What? Oh, okay. It hit you. That's a point. If it hit you, it's a point.
Yeah, but he said over before it hit him.
No, I didn't. I called it until the play was over. I called it until
No,
when the play
actually
was
he
over.
didn't.
Right.
If it hit you,
He said over before the ball hit him.
That's true.
it didn't kill out the sidewall. It jumped up.
And you can see how much these guys want the shutout. And Toddy just
No, I
stopped.
didn't.
As soon as he called hinder, he could have gotten out of the way.
Did I see the play? It bounced off the sidewall.
Now this
Yeah.
at the tail end of this play, you'll see exactly
Did
what
the ball
happened.
hit him?
Referee calls
Did the ball hit
over
him
before the ball hit Toddy, who was standing behind the player.
What happened? Or
Now that's called over before the ball
bounced?
actually. Yeah, you heard that over sound. Let's listen back to the audio here. Dave, let's listen to the audio here. Now that's called over before. Let's go back again. We'll actually listen to the audio.
This year.
Over.
Now that's called over before the ball actually. It's very close.
Heisman.
And Dave,
Only one bounce? He
it's
said there's only
13
one
to
bounce
nothing,
he
and
hit
we're
you.
having
He's
this
on the
argument.
side.
Now, other people argue, Dave,
Come
and
on,
they're
let's go. It's a
threatened to be
point.
kicked out of the event.
It's a point.
It's a good point.
I
Earlier
mean,
today, there was a player that was threatened to get kicked out of the whole tournament by coming out of the court to talk to the referee. And
Point.
Noddy Alvarado Sr. came over and said to the referee, you can kick him out of the event and I have your back on this. It was heard over the live broadcast, but you don't see that same thing happening when
All right.
Toddy comes out. But you know what? When you
Okay,
talk
that's
about one
good.
of the greatest players of all time, they get that better treatment, Dave, and I don't blame them. That's the way life is.
That's true.
One serves 13.
And that allows Ireland to score 1 point. And Toddy flat kills that.
One serves 13.
Chris, we've talked a lot about
Screen.
guys playing into their 40s. Noddy Jr. approaching 40, Toddy also 40, and trying to maintain that same level. We had your buddy John Robles in here, but Chris, in my opinion, you're playing some of the best handball I've ever seen you play. You're also in your 40s. What is it that enables you to stay at that
Two
level
serves
and just
13.
continue to improve?
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. You know, as you get a little older, you're wiser. You're more constructive with your time. You're more focused with your time, not only in your health and fitness, but also professionally.
Three serves 13.
Family, and I've just been fortunate enough to be able to pick the game back up. At the
Point.
twilight here, and fortunately, with Noddy Jr., John Bike, and John Robles, we've got a
Four serves 13.
great scenario to train at a high level when we're practicing. Because if you don't show up and play, you're off the court in 30 minutes,
Point.
and you've got an upset doubles partner with you too. In that, so you every time we play, we've got to
Five
bring
serves
it.
13.
So we make really good use of our practice time. But we don't overtrain. We don't play too much, so that you got to know your limitations of how you feel physically.
Now, how does that work if maybe you don't feel so good physically, but you're letting the team down if you don't show up because they need that fourth?
6 serves 13.
You have to find a way to bring it even if maybe you don't feel so great.
Right. You know, via text message, we're always coordinating our schedules and to where, we don't overdo it. We're trying to get 2 good quality workouts in the handball court a week, and then we all do our
6 serves 13.
our off-court training.
Short.
Is that together as well?
No, no, just not possible.
7 serve.
Unless you call that on the golf course.
I don't know that we like each other that much to do that. But it's good to see Nadi playing with Toddy right here because, they've been dear friends for a long, long time.
And Nadi looks up to Toddy Silveyra.
Absolutely. And, I believe the conversation went something to the effect that, Nadi asked him to play last year. And so they kind of let it die and talked about it at the end here. And now they're playing together. And
7 serves 13.
And they look good. They look really good.
Short.
I would like to see these 2 guys play at Luis Moreno and an Andy Net. And I'm not joking about
serve.
that. I think it's believable.
Well, I agree with you, Dave, but since that strange call where Luis said that the ball hit Toddy, Desi and Joe have scored 7 consecutive points, and they hadn't scored any up until then. It's just a crazy game, Chris, where you can be getting completely dominated, one sort of weird air or strange call, and all of a sudden you pick up a little bit of momentum,
13 serves 7.
and then you're right back in the match. You see it so often.
Every sport has momentum swings. They ebb and flow, and our sport certainly, no lead is safe, it almost seems.
Well, from playing golf, Chris, you could be playing perfectly. You miss a 3-footer for par on the 7th, and all of a sudden, it's like you can't do anything right.
Yeah, you get to the tee box of the next hole and snap hook one, and who knows what happens. And it's just it's a matter of managing your thoughts. Coming back to this game, after being absent from it, I had to learn all those pressure points again. You're just not used to it. So once you get in there and you get beat and you start to get more comfortable with those tense situations, and then all of a sudden you find yourself on top of it.
You see the Alvarado clan here on the far right. Gabriella Bike, who is John Bike's
13 serves 7.
daughter, and then far left is Marissa Alvarado, Nadi Alvarado Jr.'s daughter. In the middle, also Nadi Alvarado's daughter there. They all have become very close friends, and part of really what we experience, Chris, when we go over to the Alvarado clan for our barbecues and all the fun stuff that we do over there. You see the whole family. Beautiful family, really.
2 serves.
They're golden, just to sum it up. And
have you ever seen anything like that? I mean, you've kind of grown up with that family too, and I mean, have you ever seen anything as absolutely remarkable as the Alvarado clan when they get together and that the big family experience that you get when you go to their house?
I really have not. They're just such genuine people. There's
Point. Side out.
If you find a husband and wife like Lupe and Nadi Sr. that have embedded core values, not just in their own
14.
children, but in everybody around them, it's just such a blessing to be involved with them and enjoy their company and their fellowship and all the holidays. And it's pretty special.
Nadi Alvarado Jr. is still able to bounce around this court here, even though balls are just being lasered right at the almost 40-year-old. I mean, Desi Keegan's hitting that ball hard, but we're seeing some really quick hands from El Tigre here.
And there's the announcing curse, as that ball wasn't even close to being as hard as Desi could hit it, and Nadi couldn't handle it. And now it's the Irish, Dave, who have
8 serves 14.
scored 8 of the last 9 points in this match. And that's a terrible error from Joe McCann there, but this game is certainly not over. It looked like We might be on our way to our
Eight
first
serves,
ever
14.
shutout on the webcast. And now the tide has really turned.
Well, that 6 points, it can be like
Over.
driving a mountain. That ball hit another mountain in Desi Keegan,
Check the ball.
who did not have a great performance at all at the World Handball Championships. That ball careened off the back of Desi Keegan. We're going to say goodbye to Chris Watkins, who's just stopped by to give us a couple insides and outsides of the game, and we appreciate it, Chris.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks,
we also,
guys.
Dave, appreciate Chris saving us the $500 he would have been paid had he finished this first game, and that now goes into our fund.
8
Tahiti
serves,
fund.
14.
So thank you for that, Chris.
Thanks to you
Wrong.
guys for all that you're doing for the sport. Thanks,
you.
guys.
Second serve.
Chris Watkins, who, of course, played some very inspiring handball here this weekend. One of the top players in his age bracket, and also just a tremendous doubles partner. I mean, if you were going to pick a right side partner, that's
9
the
serves,
guy
14.
you want on your team.
Out.
Toddy Silveyra just flat rolls that ball. It doesn't go around the revolving door.
14 serves 9. Short.
I like how Toddy doesn't take the ball around the revolving door. He just steps back and flat rolls the ball out. It's less steps
Second
that
serve.
way. It's a lot more timing, but still. See Joe McCann playing the back left. This is called a modified I
Point.
formation, where both players play very similar ball, Dave, as to Vince Munoz and
15 serves 9.
Marco Chavez. You'll see Joe McCann drift over and play the left side, even during the serve, which is
Point.
different than what Marcos and Chavez do. Score here is 16-9 in the first game.
16 serves 9.
Wow. There's some
Not bad.
power right there from Desi Keegan.
Well, I was surprised that Nadi took that on the short hop when it would have been a big back wall setup.
16 serves 9.
Dave, we were talking about Toddy Silveyra, not to loathe over the fact that we are doing this, but you know, we never know that this could be the last time we ever see the guy. Really, this could be the last time. But
Not in front of you. That wasn't his shot.
in
That
your
was on his shot. She jumped in on his shot. That was on his shot, not on yours, Desi. Point.
Desi Keegan's asking for something here that's just not going to happen. We'll watch the replay and you'll see exactly. Desi Keegan thought that
17 serves 9.
Toddy jumped in front of his shot.
I think he's saying Nadi jumped in front of him.
Nadi came between Desi and Toddy. There was no problem there whatsoever. Nadi was out of position, but he put himself in a pretty good position. And
Look at that amazing skinny V pass from Toddy. Right hand into the front wall, right side wall.
18 serves 9.
It takes so much strength and power to hit that shot.
but Dave, I was going
Short.
back to the thought with Toddy Silveyra.
Second serve.
Did you ever play him in the days? And tell me what happened on those matchups.
Well, I did play him at the NYSC Invitational when I was 17, and it didn't go well. Unfortunately, though, for me, I got so upset when I was down 5-0 in the first game that I punched the wall as hard as I could with my left hand. Actually broke a bone in it,
9 serves 18.
and not that I would have scored many more points than I did,
Point.
but didn't score many. Toddy, though, was
10
just
serves 18.
unbelievable, relentless, amazing server as well with two incredible hands. I really don't know the strategy to beat Toddy Silveyra.
What about
Because he
going
can play-
to the roof?
Well,
and just-
he can play the ceiling game also. He plays the ceiling game well, and if you leave a ball that's not
10 serves
literally
18.
in the back corner of the court, he's going to shoot it and take advantage of any slight opening that you give him.
One thing I see about Toddy is that he isn't forcing
Point.
it. He plays a pretty good balance of when I believe he should be going for offense, he's going for wraparounds. And when I thought he would go for a wraparound, he goes down for some of the offensive shots. That's where I feel that it's all about confidence with this guy. I think with every single point that is played, he's just gaining more confidence. He's also losing more legs, and sometimes those two are going to clash later on in the championship if they continue on here. You see Nadi Alvarado and Toddy Silveyra, two future Hall of Famers, up against each other at 18-10 here.
Well, Dave, they will have a day off tomorrow. The finals are on Sunday, so if they're able to get through this match, Toddy will have about 40 hours to recover.
11 serves 18.
And they haven't really been pushed yet in this event. You'll see the guys in the next match, Dave,
Second
both
serve.
being pushed into high-scoring tiebreakers earlier today. One of those guys being Vince Munoz, who's another Hall of Fame legend. Dave, is there eventually going to be a WPH Hall of Fame? Or when you speak of the Hall of Fame, are you speaking just of the USHA Hall of Fame?
18
I believe
serves
the
11.
USHA Hall of Fame serves the purpose. There's not two baseball Hall of Fames.
How about?
I don't see why the WPH needs to have a Hall of Fame.
18
just my
serves 11.
opinion. Unless somebody can come up with a better argument. Desi Keegan tries to go for that right corner dump kill.
19 serves 11. Point.
That's the creativity, Dave. Not many people would even think to go for that shot, but Toddy goes for it and executes it perfectly. And that's really the best option there, is you don't have room to go straight down the left. If you go down the right, Joe McCann's waiting for it. So Toddy just pinches the corner, and when you pinch that left corner with your right hand, the ball comes out with such an extreme angle that really it just runs away from the right side player.
And let's take a look at that on the replay
I mean,
here.
this is literally a 70-degree angle when it hits that side wall. Different, Dave, than if you would hit the right corner with your right hand and the angle is more 45
Game point
degrees.
serves 11.
It's really unbelievable watching Toddy Silveyra play here. And then he hops the ball in the middle of the rally into a windup from Desi Keegan. And if we're ever going to look at a replay there from the upper camera in the gallery looking down, that was truly remarkable, because that's the thing the guys would talk about, that, yeah, there's certain servers that know how to hop the ball left and right, but Toddy was able to do it during the rallies, and I think we just discovered that right here, Dave. You remember any type of in-court play hops right there? That thing was a huge natural hook.
That was a reverse.
Reverse with the left hand, excuse me. That came back over.
Well, you know, Desi Keegan, not having seen Toddy Silveyra play, doesn't know the amount of reverse that Toddy will hit a pass shot with during the rallies, and he was just completely caught off guard with that left-handed rocket that not only bounced into Desi, but actually bounced into his stomach.
We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back for game number 2. It's Nadi Alvarado Jr. and Toddy Silveyra defeating Desi Keegan and Joe McCann. Game number 1, 21-11. We'll be back in just a bit. Stay around for more action at racefor8.com.
Rethink what you know about this Vegas icon. Elevate your expectations at the Stratosphere Hotel, Casino, and Tower. See what's new, up, down, and all around.
At shelters, you'll discover healthy and loving animals just waiting to become a part of your family. Why wait? You can make a difference in the life of an animal. A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person and adopt your new best friend today. To find out more, visit theshelterpetproject.org.
My name is Bruce Fabrizio. In 1975, I invented Simple Green based on 3 principles. It had to be safer to use, it had to work, and it had to be completely made in America. From generation to generation, Simple Green has been cleaning everything from car engines and tools to kitchen counters and floors. No matter what you clean, indoors or outdoors, clean it with non-toxic, biodegradable Simple Green.
Working and working out takes a lot of energy. That's why I drink Zenergy. Feeling fantastic and looking good has never been easier. Science, extreme science for your active lifestyle.
My life is full of statistics. Thing is, I could have dropped out of school and become one myself, but I didn't because I had people that believed in me. Here's another statistic. 7,000 students drop out every school day. That's 1 every 26 seconds. It's time that students know that we believe in them.
Inspire a student and share your message of support at boostup.org.
Here we go. We're gonna make some juice.
It's gonna be good.
She's excited. A little bit of kale.
Please don't put this on. I'm putting it all over the line.
It's wet. It needs something. No, it'll go.
Don't break my juicer. Looks good.
You ready to try it?
Come on, baby.
Challenge your kids to be active and eat healthy.
It's okay.
Okay, all right.
They might surprise you.
Hey, she took another sip. You saw it?
Search We Can for more ideas on how you and your kids can get healthy together.
And we are back for game number 2 as Desi Keegan and Joe McCann step in to try to see if they can reverse some of that momentum that they received at the very end there against Toddy Silveyra and Nadi Alvarado. They seem to come back after Nadi and Toddy went up really big, 14-0 or so. They came back to get to it 7 or 8, and then nothing really happened for them after that. Toddy and Nadi Alvarado went on a 7-3 run to win 21-11. What was working during that 0-7 run that Desi and Joe had, Dave?
Well, Nadi and Toddy got a little bit flat there and a little bit complacent. They had such a hot start with so much emotion. They kind of cooled off, put it in cruise control. I don't think Desi and Joe did anything necessarily that was outstanding or extraordinary, but after a little break, Nadi and Toddy went back into clampdown mode, and they did what they had to do to close out game number 1 in what looked like could have been a shutout. Turned out to be 21-10.
Well, we're getting ready for game number 2 here at the Simple Green U.S. Open of Handball with Nadi Alvarado Jr.
0-0.
up against Toddy Silveyra, who did not change his shirt.
Short. Second serve. Short.
And a double fault for Nadi to start this second game.
0-0.
Could be a huge confidence booster for the Irish here as they have an opportunity to get on the board first with 2 servers. It took them 21 minutes to score in game number 1.
A lot of people don't realize that
Hold it.
Desi Keegan has such great hands up front that even though we talk about his great power, his great hands are just as good.
0-0. Green.
Well, Dave,
0-0.
I believe in order to have great power, you need to have great hands, and a lot of people don't realize that. But with that power, Dave, requires a lot of touch. It's not like you can just have no feel and hit the ball that hard. You need to have a lot of feel and combine that with the right technique if you're going to hit the ball hard.
0-0.
There's a reason, Dave, that the golfers that hit the ball the longest also have really soft hands around the greens.
1-0. One serve 0.
Toddy Silveyra and Nadia Alvarado defeated Desi Keegan and Joe McCann the first game 21-11 after they were up 14-0 and looking completely dominant. But you would think that the 40-year-olds would get a little tired here in game number 2, so we might see something a little bit more close, Dave. You just never know.
Well, that's why we're watching. Personally, I'd like to pencil it in, but I don't think that's an option.
0 serves 1.
I will, however, Dave, make myself comfortable, put my feet up on the booth.
I called the ball short.
Which is actually a $35 fine.
Disagree.
Is that
both disagree? 2 serves.
for every minute, or is that, do I just incur one fine
so
for the day?
It's a $35 fine.
Okay.
I called
Some
short
people
as
just
soon as you
don't
served.
mind playing
As
it.
soon as I saw it, I called
Or
it
paying
short.
it, I should say. Plain or
Well, if I can keep them up here for the rest of the day, then I don't mind.
But I said short. How do you know he didn't stop because I said short? 0 serves 1.
These guys are best of friends in Ireland. Now they're fighting here, referee to server.
2 serves.
But Luis Cordova does bring up a good argument. How'd you know? You had your back turned.
Second serve.
Naughty Dave has already double faulted here in this first game, and that's a terrible second serve, and Desi Keegan takes care of it. I think you might be better off double faulting, Dave, than giving Desi Keegan a huge back wall setup on the second serve. It was Desi Keegan and Joe McCann, Dave, defeating Chip Morales and Armando Ortiz, 2 guys ranked in the top 12 on the Race Parade Pro Tour, beating them in 2 games. That was revenge, Dave, for Desi Keegan and Joe McCann, who had lost to Chip and Armando a couple of years ago. A very close tiebreaker. Desi telling me this morning, Dave, at breakfast that he's been preparing for this event even more than the World Championships. This is the one that's been circled on his calendar, and this is where he really wants to do well.
Out. One serve 0. Point. Two serve 0.
See that Desi and Joe are up 2-0 here.
Point. Three serve 0. Out. Zero serves 3.
And that serve looks short, Dave. And Naughty with a terrible air. I mean, he hit that ball vertically straight down. It's an easy setup.
0 serves 3.
The way that Toddy and Naughty are playing right now, somebody's going to have to step up here and take over. They're both just flat at the moment.
Well, Dave, I think you know, Dave, particularly in doubles, sometimes if you come out with too much aggression and too much adrenaline and energy,
3 serve 0.
sometimes that dissipates. And then even if you build a big lead, it's difficult to keep scoring points because you just go flat. The momentum changes. Sometimes it's even more difficult in doubles to reverse the momentum back than it would be in singles.
That's true.
You have to admire, Dave, the resiliency and the composure of Desi McKeegan and Joe McCann, who really were being embarrassed here in the first 15 minutes of this match, down 13-0. But they stayed within themselves. They continued doing what they do, which is Desi hitting the ball hard and Joe just holding steady on the right side. And now they're in this match.
3-0.
They got a little bit of momentum there, scoring 11 points in the first game, outscoring Nadi and Toddy actually after that 13-0 start. And now, really, they look like the stronger team early here in the second game.
Over.
And Dave, so much of playing against Nadi and Toddy is adjusting to their ball because they hit a different type of ball than anyone else hits, because their ball hits the floor and flattens out with so much pace. And that's just not something you're used to seeing. Most guys, Dave, ball hits the floor, jumps up with a little bit of a natural to it. Their ball is all reverse. And it is very difficult to adjust to that mentally.
No, I agree with you. Being on the floor with Nadi Alvarado and trying to defend if you're against him is very difficult. He actually breaks over the top of every ball. And Toddy's the same way. And the ball just is always fading away from you, and it's going in the mid 80s every single time. So it's very difficult.
And it's incredible, Dave, that you rarely even say Joe McCann's name. It's almost as though he's not even in there some of the time, but yet he's just steady on the right side. He makes gets, he keeps rallies alive, and he doesn't make mistakes. Joe McCann, Dave, was seeded 8th at the World Championships. He lost actually in the round of 32, which on paper was an upset. But I believe, Dave, that he's a better doubles player than singles player.
5-0.
I agree with you.
And there was some controversy there at the World Championships with that number 8 seed, as you see Toddy and Nadi switch sides here on the return of serve. But you had Owen Kennedy, Dave, seeded 10th. Tony Healy seeded 14th. Michael Regan seeded 12th. And Joe McCann seeded 8th. A lot of people, Dave, talking about that, and it turned out maybe that it wasn't quite the right seed, as you had
7-0.
Joe McCann losing to a guy that was seeded 20th, who went on to lose in the next round.
Hold it.
Heidi Silveyra breaks through the pick and then is called with a screen there against Desi Keegan.
7-0. Point.
It was really strange in the first game. We had Nadi Alvarado and Toddy Silveyra up 11-0. Here in game number 2, Dave, it's Desi Keegan and Joe McCann up to 8-0. This is an odd thing to see.
Well, Dave, fortunately for us, we've been able to grab the number 1 seed and the defending champion here, Megan Mihalos. Megan, I know that you're busy here. You've had 2 matches today. I'm sure you're exhausted. You're trying to get yourself something to eat, rally your team. But talk to us a little bit about your matches today. First, you played rising star Biddy Bidigan, and then you played an old rival of yours, Courtney Pachot. And tomorrow you'll have a day off, which is really kind of strange. And then you'll play Aisling Riley in a rematch of last year's final.
I actually played Sandy Ng first round, but yeah, I felt good the first game. Second game, she got her serves going really well, but I think it was good I played her first to get some of those serves under my belt and see how that went. But and then I felt strong against Courtney. I was definitely confident the first game, and second game I felt more confident as I was kind of warding off her streak and finished strong there. So I'm looking forward to the finals.
Now, you're the type of player that doesn't really play a lot of tournaments. Is that by design to try and peak for the big events, or is that just how your schedule works out that you're not able to really travel to a lot of these events?
It's more because I'm not able to travel to all the events, so I try to make as many as I can.
Megan, what ball are you playing with? Is it the men's 21?
Yes.
It is, so you like that, right?
I do.
Okay.
It's great.
I'm assuming that the way I look at it is if I see that you're in the draw, I'm assuming that that's the reason why.
Well, yes.
Megan, I know that you're you're very into the CrossFit workout. Is that what you've been doing along with, sparring with, your brother and a lot of the other top players in Chicago to get ready for this event?
Yes, I go there at least once a week, a couple of times a week. It's definitely a good cross-training thing.
How much are you looking forward to that rematch to try and not necessarily validate that win from last year against Ashley, but, face her again and, see what you've been working on, if that'll work, and, also the changes that she's made trying to adjust to your style.
And to also further that is she's also the world champion now. So that there's something that feels good about winning the U.S. Open's great, winning the national championship is great, which you've done both now, but beating the world champion also has probably some sort of meaning.
Right.
I'm assuming.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. 2 years ago, I lost to her, and last year I won. So this is like the tiebreaker of the matches. So
it's really a tremendous rivalry, and it's a great contrast in your styles. You play what I would call a percentage game. Very old school throwback game. You hit a lot of 2-wall passes, wraparound shots, and you've got an amazing kill shot when you have the opportunity. Ashley, more of a power player. She's got an amazing serve. I think she probably hits the hardest ball I've ever seen in the history of women's handball, and she can be very aggressive at times, particularly when she gets into her groove.
Right. Yeah, definitely. So it'll be fun to see how the styles match up.
See, Megan, I don't actually ask questions. I just ramble for about 2 minutes and then expect you to sort of just respond to something that I said, but I think you're actually doing quite well. Now, tomorrow we know that you have an off day, which is very rare at a tournament. You played 2 matches today, no matches tomorrow, and then you'll play the finals on Sunday. What will you do tomorrow to try and get yourself ready for Sunday's match?
I'm not really sure because this is new, having a day off. I'm definitely in good enough shape to play tomorrow, so it's a little bit of a strange thing, but can't hurt to have some time off and just relax.
Will you go into the court and hit the ball around with your coach, your mother, or will you maybe play a sparring game, or will you just get away from it, maybe go to the beach or to Disneyland?
I haven't really decided yet. I'll figure that out tomorrow, I guess.
A lot of tough questions here in the booth.
Definitely.
Now, changing gears a little bit right now, we've got 2 legends on the court right now, and I know that you're a historian of handball. What is it like for you to watch Tadej Silveyra, a guy that a lot of people believe is one of the top players to ever play this game, his career cut short because of his other career as being a fireman? But how special is it for you as a handball fan to be able to watch Tadej and Nadi here today?
Oh, it was so awesome. I really enjoyed that first game. I haven't seen Tadej play since I was a kid and just starting. It was many years ago, and he was impressive back then and probably even more impressive now because I understand the game more now than I did when I was younger.
Well, you're not the first to say that because we've talked to some people. We said Tadej's on the broadcast right now, and Megan, people have just ran into the court to watch because it's either that much of prestige of knowing that he is one of the greatest players of all time, or perhaps they've heard rumors or his legend lives on. But they were up in the first game 11-0, and they ended up winning 21-11. They're down 0-11 in game number 2. It's almost like they're playing in the women's division with the old white ace, where you would see those strange scores back and forth. Well, I mean, what explains this?
Oh, I have no idea. But they'll make it work.
Well, I think from the crowd's perspective, we'd all love to see a really close tiebreaker here. But Nadi and Tadej have so many fans here that I'm sure they'd like to see these guys come back and book their spot in the final. Well, Megan, we want to thank you very much for taking the time here. I know that you have a lot of obligations here on the grounds at Los Caballeros, and we'll let you get back to resting, recovering, eating, whatever it is.
That you only throw that in when why is it that you are bringing that up with Megan?
Well, they are serving dinner about 10 feet away. I thought she was on her way there. I thought it might be appropriate, but I'm sorry.
She has a whole day off now.
I know you're very sensitive.
When people bring up the word food, you see I'm all of a sudden listening. Megan sees how it is here. I never take one look at what's going on the court. I just text, and I'm on Facebook. But Dave was trying to politely say, have a great night, and then also a great rest tomorrow as you, I guess, have a full day off to go to Dog Beach and, I don't know, Sunset. Check out Captain Jack's Grill tonight. Whatever you're going to do here in Southern California. Is it one of those things as we say goodbye to you that it's a great destination to come to because you can do some great shopping here and, you know, get in the sun and do all the things that you want to do? It's a great, I mean, it's
Definitely.
As everything winds down in Chicago area and it's starting to get cold,
Right.
You're out here and the weather's just absolutely perfect.
It's awesome, yeah.
Well, I've noticed, Megan, that all the great champions, of course you being one of them, don't really come here for the shopping or the beach or the amusement park. You've got very much tunnel vision, and you've got that look in your eye. I know that you're going to want to stay very focused on your match for Sunday morning.
No, she's going out tomorrow. Tomorrow's a rest day.
Okay.
She's going to hit the beach. She's
Well,
going to go to
that's
Nordstrom's.
what you or I would do.
She's going to Nordstrom's. We have already done that
Well.
on this trip, which I'm actually kind of, it's sensitive to even bring it up.
Yeah.
But Megan, what are you going to do tomorrow? Let's just come right out and
I
ask.
don't know.
Well, if you
I
hadn't
haven't decided. I'm not going to Nordstrom's. I have one down the street.
well, you'll certainly be able to afford it with the paycheck that you're going to pick up on Sunday.
Win or lose.
Yeah.
Okay, well, as Dave was trying to say, have a good rest with your, I saw your mother, Terry, was here, and she understands because she looks over and says, well, that's, you know, that's the press, and my daughter is going to have to talk to the press. So she's completely understanding. She has a smile on her face. She was obviously working her way over to the food court area.
Her mom actually gave us 8 minutes to talk to Megan. We're now 45 seconds over, and certainly we don't want to disrupt your preparation anymore.
12.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Have a good one.
I
And good luck
appreciate it.
tomorrow. We'll be rooting for you, even though we're supposed to be impartial. So,
Okay. Thank you.
But
Thank
deep
you.
down, you'll know that when you make a bad call with the ref and you get upset because the line judges are off kilter, that deep
12.
down we're going to be rooting for you over here.
Great. Thank you.
All
I
right.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Megan. Want to say hello to Isabel and Laura, who are watching the live broadcast from, you won't believe this, but Australia, Dave, as Richard Tomaselli and his family are tuned in. And I know my wife, who is not on camera right now, would like to say hello to Isabella. Okay, wife, she bought Isabella this little gift, and it's just sitting in the closet. She hasn't sent it yet, I don't believe. Remember?
So now we're having private conversations with our spouses.
Well, and
here during the live match with
we only
two
have
legends.
we only have 6 people watching right now, so I thought of the 3 that are in Australia watching. We have a gift in our closet for Isabella that we have to ship to Australia. We've had it for like 3 months. It's
Well, you
really
send
bad.
that COD.
It's really that's how you do it.
Well, you're actually much more impressed that I knew what COD meant.
Yeah.
I mean, you would have never known that, you have to be honest.
I know what it means.
Right.
And it is an old school term. I'm not impressed that you know it because that's really all about who you are.
Oh, okay.
I'd be impressed if you
Two
didn't
serves,
know it.
13-4.
Score is 13-4. Wow.
Dave, have you been involved with matches like this where you've either had a huge lead in the first game and went on to win it and then just get blown out in the second game? I mean, is this something
It's
that
usually the other way around, where you got blown out the first game, you come back and win the second one, and even while it's happening, you're wondering, how is this happening? Toddy and Nadia Alvarado look just like they're old right now.
Well, they look like the Nadia and Toddy of 15 years ago to start this match, and now, like you said, Dave, they do look a little bit old right now. Their shots don't have the same crisp sting to them, and they're just not moving that well. You see both guys there, Dave, camped out in the back court as Desi Keegan mishit the back ball shot. Earlier in this match, you would have seen those guys up in the front court probably re-killing that. No call from our referee. I thought that was a hinder, actually, as Joe had to go around Toddy there. And that cost Joe and Desi the advantage in that rally. Now, Dave, if you're Nadia and Toddy, do you let this game go? Do you try and make a comeback? Because what if you come all the way back and then still lose? You've wasted so much energy, and maybe you don't have enough left for the tiebreaker.
Yeah, I think at this point, I wouldn't have said it at 15 because I know these guys are remarkable, but I have a feeling now, Dave.
But at
that
16, you say it.
Well, you're only 5 points away, and you're going to see more than 5 handouts here. And that's where your percentage drastically reduces. These guys are big game players. They've been in the middle of crunch time many times. It's very difficult when you play alongside your idol if you're losing. It's easier when you're winning because it's what you expected you thought you would do, but when you lose, it's not what you expect when you're losing. It's hard to put that in quantify that into words, Dave, but if you're
I
playing,
can see that it's hard to quantify for you.
well, if you're playing alongside somebody you idolize and you're winning, it seems like that's the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
Because in your mind, you're living in a fantasy world. But when you start losing, everything unravels more so than if you were unraveling in a regular match, because you're unraveling with your idol, and you actually start doubting whether or not you're good enough to be in the court. And look at that unfortunate shot right there, and Desi and Joe get another point at 17-4 right here.
Believe it or not, Dave, I know exactly what you're saying, and I'm not sure if the 4 people watching do know, but it's an interesting dilemma and situation.
Yeah, it actually is interesting. I've been in it many times myself. I've played alongside John Bike and won a couple national championships with him, and also won the national championship this year in the 35s with Nadi Alvarado, and had to go to a tiebreaker there. And I was wondering to myself after losing the first game how or why I should even be standing in this court right now with a guy that is so good, and I'm letting him down, and he's not playing good because I'm not playing good. Makes it very difficult, and you start putting extra pressures on yourself that probably would have never existed if you're playing with somebody else. But Dave, I know that you're busy talking to somebody else, but this year I played with, in the past year I played with John Bike, and we've won national championships in the 35s and the 3-wall and the 4-wall. This year, current national champion with Nadi Alvarado Jr. We lose the first game, and I start thinking to myself, I shouldn't be in the court with this guy. I'm bringing down his legacy. He then is upset because he's in the court with a scrub and he's not playing good. I'm recognizing that, and you want to try to raise your game up. He tries to raise his game up to compensate. Everybody, it's just a cluster of errors going on inside the court, and you start really putting more pressure on yourself that would have never existed if you were playing with somebody that wasn't of that magnitude. And I imagine that Nadi Alvarado, even though he's ranked 3rd in the rankings right now, actually looks up to Tani Silveyra. And you can see both of these players are just really not playing where they want to play. Now, when they're rolling in the first game at 11-0, it probably was like, yeah, this is what we thought would happen.
That was a point.
Well, I have to give the Irish a lot of credit, Dave, for making the adjustment as quickly as they did, because, Dave, it took me playing Nadi about 10 times before I could get used to that ball flattening out when it hit the floor. These guys adjusted to it after just a half a game. What was really remarkable, Dave, about the back wall shots that Nadi and Tati hit is that they'll hit the floor so close to the side wall, and you think they have to pop into the side wall, but they actually completely straighten out. And that time, Nadi hits that tomahawk off his fingertips, and the ball stays down on the right wall.
4-17.
And now, Dave, you have to think maybe Nadi and Tati think about trying to get some momentum for game number 2, maybe find a serve that works, or maybe even a strategy that works. And also, Dave, they could serve first if they're able to score just 6 or 7 more points. Now, Dave, we've talked about this before. Do you want to serve first or second in the tiebreaker?
Well, I think with these big servers like Nadi and
2 serves
and Tati, you probably want to serve first. I certainly do. Even though you only get 1 server, you still get 1 chance. I mean, I don't understand why it would ever be a question, and the crowd likes that, but it's going to be too late.
6-17.
But that's the type of crowd support that these guys have been used to, and I think that's going to make them feel more comfortable. But Dave, why would you ever want to not return that or serve first? You actually have a chance to score first. The alternative is being in the back court, returning a serve, when if you get your serve out, you're going to be returning anyway. I don't even understand why that's an argument, but I hear a lot of people arguing.
Well,
Injury timeout.
It seems like if you...
The only argument would be momentum. You lost
17.
momentum and you're a side out. It's a negative.
Right, so if you go in there
much time
and you
passing?
lose the first rally when you're serving first, now the other team comes in and they serve twice. So they've got a couple of chances to really build that
Joe.
momentum. So if you're able to hit a couple of good serves and get on the board, obviously that's what you want. But if you get out quickly, now without even scoring, you've lost some momentum entirely.
I've just seen so many teams come in, and we saw that earlier today when John Bike and Chris Watkins, Waddy Dog, got in their doubles match earlier today against Keegan and his partner Jared Kunin. They were up 5-0 on the first serve with one guy, 5-0. Then there was a side out, 8 straight points on the second, the team coming in for the first time. So it's one of those things where I believe that you want to take the points when you have them, and that's when you get the first serve in the tiebreaker. You certainly want to take that first serve, and that's what I would do if I was in the court, because returning the serve to start off, you're going to be doing that if you get that side out anyway. I mean, I say you take the points, but I've seen it go both ways. I don't know what the stats are, Dave, when it comes to the players and what they get if they get the side out immediately and those that are coming in as opposed to those that start off. I really don't know the stats.
Well, that's actually one of the few stats, Dave, that we haven't kept, and largely in part to really not covering that much doubles. I mean, we only cover doubles generally at 2 or 3 events a year. So that is something, Dave, that we'll have to observe and note. You see a shot, Dave, of the Dreamboat. He actually tries to downplay his looks by pulling the hat down over his forehead, Dave, because it's just becomes uncomfortable for him.
Well, it is true that Andy's eyes do match his shirt, but you know what Andy does is, like you said, he puts the baseball cap on because he doesn't want to sign autographs right now. This is the guy that wants to sit down in his what looks like a shirt that he got from scrubmed.com, and I don't know if he's ready to clean teeth as a dental hygienist or just watch a handball match, but he just wants to take his time and have a relaxing Friday evening, and that's what he's going to do against the guys wearing the red shirts here. I guess you would say they're the California Angels
of Anaheim. So we have an injury timeout now, Dave. I don't even know what the injury is. It's obviously to either Joe or Desi, and I think this is smart, Dave. The veterans putting on their long sleeves to try and stay warm, because the last thing you want to do is cool down and stiffen up.
Well, we're going to try to find what that timeout is for.
Really? How are you going to?
Well, because we have a reporter, Abraham Montijo and Ashley Moeller are both reporting on it, but we're trying to find out what it actually is, and so we'll get them to respond here. You have to have connections, Dave.
Well, they're working hard.
Let's talk about some of the great
work
great things.
ethic?
No, let's talk about the great stuff that Desi Keegan has done.
Oh, okay.
We're talking about the blue-eyed dreamboat of Andy Nett, but Desi Keegan is an amazing character himself and has done some amazing things too. Maybe you want to pass on that. I thought maybe you would want to jump in first.
Well,
there's a list.
You know, I know about the list. I was waiting for you to just introduce some of it. Desi Keegan actually won the Golden Gloves Heavyweight Boxing Championship in Ireland, Dave. He was given numerous offers to turn pro, including, Dave, Don King, who traveled to his home in Ireland with a gym bag full of cash. He actually
Wow.
converted to euros, Dave. He showed up.
So it's not as much cash as
Well,
it might have looked.
this was at a time, Dave, when the exchange was far more favorable for the
okay.
American dollar. So
Right.
the exchange was actually about 1-to-1. So, Don King, as he always does, Dave, had literally rubber bands filled with hundreds. I believe, Dave, there were 50 hundreds in each rubber band.
50?
Yeah,
Okay.
each. They call those bricks, Dave. He had 10 bricks trying to convince Desi Keegan, Dave, to turn pro. And Desi said, there's no doubt in my mind that I can compete at that level with the pros, particularly, against Don King's stable, which is really diminished. But he said, you know what? I'm a handball player. I have goals. I
guess we have a little audio problem there. I guess Dave Fink has had a little audio issue with his microphone there. So what you're saying about Don King is he offered Desi cash. I don't know why this is so confusing. Is your microphone working yet? Sorry, we're having a little technical difficulty, but it's at the right time because this is an injury timeout. So Don King says, I'm going to give you this cash, and then
testing. Oh, you can hear me now?
I can hear you. Great.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So now.
But, Desi, not only is he motivated to win the All-Ireland 60x30 hardball and softball, as well as the small court 40x20, but, Desi's a very sharp guy, and he's seen what's happened in the boxing world. He's seen what happens when promoters take advantage of fighters, that promise them the world. You sign on that piece of paper, and now all of a sudden you're basically a slave to that promoter for the rest of your life, and all that money that was promised to you, all the limousines and the flashy bling, it just disappears. And Desi said, you know what? This sport is just a little bit too corrupt for me. I've got the hand speed and I've got the power, but I want to use my brain. And, he said that he felt like handball was a much better avenue for him.
I can see when somebody's going to hand you a purse full of cash where you'd pick handball over that purse.
Well, Dave, it's all about integrity in Ireland. We're still not sure what this injury is. We now have word that Joe McCann has pulled his groin muscle, which is a very, very difficult injury to overcome, almost impossible to play with that type of injury. And you see Joe McCann in the court, he's really favoring that right leg, and he did pull that right groin muscle. And obviously, Dave, Joe's going to try and give it a go. I think a lot of times in singles, Dave, you might just scratch because you say, I can't do anything. But in doubles, you really just don't want to let your partner down. There's so much of that camaraderie and teamwork. And Joe's going to try and push through this. We're about 8 minutes into this.
Well, they're saying,
timeout.
Dave, that it was an injury to the groin. They felt that when he dove for the ball, he hurt his mid-region somewhere. You have to remember, Joe McCann a few years back, Dave, was training really big for one of the top tournaments. I believe it was the 60x30 doubles, where it was he and Desi Keegan going up against Owen Kennedy and I believe Ian Jensen. And it was Joe McCann who collapsed a lung. He was training so hard. That's what these Irish guys do. They come in and they train so hard, and they don't give up. You're not going to see him scratch in this match, even though I believe he just pulled a groin or either dove and bruised maybe a hip flexor, or you can see he's certainly in pain. I mean,
well, Dave, Joe has been plagued by the injury bug. He came to Tucson injured because he injured himself that week in training, really couldn't play in that 2010 race kickoff event. And Dave, the veterans go right after Joe McCann now as they know that Joe's injured. These guys are out for blood, and you saw Joe couldn't even move to hit that back wall shot. I mean, it was actually painful to watch. And you see Naughty now, Dave, taking no prisoners, and he's just going to hit every shot at Joe McCann now.
And Desi should just push right into the I formation here. You see Joe's very tentative. Look at that. So smart right there, Dave.
Well, Dave, there's just nothing worse than playing with an injury, particularly when it affects your movement and when it affects your ability to bend. Oh, and Dave, this is actually very difficult at this point to watch, as Desi will have no choice but to put Joe behind him if they want to have any chance to win this game. But what chance do they have to win this match? I mean,
well, we've seen strange things happen. If they do get that first serve, Desi could roll off a few points.
Well, I mean, you're basically asking Desi Keegan to beat Naughty and Toddy 2-on-1. It's actually, Dave, more like 3-on-1 because he's got his partner that'll be sort of in his way. And Dave, you see the difference between men's handball and women's handball as Shabil Gallagher went through a terrible injury at the World Championships, Dave, and when her opponents knew that she was injured, they just hit every shot to Fiona to try and not cause more injury to Shabil when, you know, the guys, Dave, would just go right after the injured player.
That's true.
Dave, I don't know if you've ever suffered a pulled groin before, but it's just a terrible, terrible injury, and no matter what you're trying to do.
Point.
And you see a point being called here,
11.
now at 18-11. Joe McCann's just going through the motions, and then a flat roll right there in the right corner, just a nonchalant little flip here.
11.
If Desi Keegan and Joe McCann can get at least 3 side outs and score 3 points at every one of those side outs, then they're going to force a tiebreaker, even with a hurt Joe McCann. I think that timeout actually benefits the old guys, because you can see these guys taking a timeout, coming back in, and then going on a rampage for about 5 points before they get tired again.
I don't think that Joe and Desi have any chance to win this game despite leading 18-11 right now.
I do.
Okay. Well, I've got some sand that says they won't.
About.
How much?
Well, I brought 100 bags with me, so.
11 serves 18.
Willing to put that on the line.
That's going to go all the way to the front wall. This would be a big setup for Toddy. He loves those type of shots.
And Toddy hits it right to Joe. Joe didn't even have to move for that.
Point.
A little bit of screen action going on there.
12 serves 18.
Dave, it's conceivable that Naughty and Toddy could come back from a 12-18 deficit without Joe McCann being injured, but now the 100 bags of sand offer off the table.
18 serves 12.
You didn't seize that opportunity.
Well, I didn't know there was a time frame. I just figured we were in on it.
Oh, well, I don't know if you've ever bet before, but you have to actually accept a bet. That's kind of how it works.
Huh.
Yeah.
19 serves 12.
For a guy that's injured, he sure hit that ball pretty hard, but he's not moving very well. We're talking about Joe McCann
19
here.
19 serves 12.
In order for Toddy and Naughty to win this in 2, Dave, they're going to have to get the side out and then score points in bunches as opposed to these 1 point per side outs, because Desi can come in and get a point every single time on the side out.
And Dave, did Joe McCann just flip a ball backhanded to the ceiling with the back of his hand?
We only saw that one time in the history of this broadcast, and that was at the Worlds.
12 serves 19.
When Sean Lenning did it, and it looked like he did it on purpose.
Well, it looked like Joe McCann also did that on purpose. Dave, perhaps there's new shots that we don't know about. I mean, is
13 serves 19.
Dave, Nadi is sporting the WPH shorts. They're actually incredibly comfortable.
They're great. They're greatest ever.
Amazingly lightweight. I mean, are those available, Dave, in the
19.
handball store?
No.
Okay. So that's kind of a authentic pro short only type of thing.
Wow, nice shot right there from Desi Keegan, gets the half out. And that's what I'm saying. These guys are going to have to do more than just 1 point every time. 1 point every shift is not going to win this game for these guys up in the service box, Dave.
Second serve.
Toddy Silveyra now serving here, game number 2.
Nadi has not been able to put together anything on his serve since that opening run in the first game. His serve has been defended very well.
Wow, so Toddy goes for a power serve right at Joe McCann. That's going to come off the back wall, and unfortunately for Toddy, it actually hit the back wall. And there's some amazing power from Desi Keegan trying to get 2 more points so he can force a tiebreaker.
19 serves 14.
Joe McCann laboring as he dives in for that re-kill. Smart shot from Toddy Silveyra, who's now just going to pick on Joe McCann, who cannot do anything.
And Dave,
19 serves 14.
I don't believe Desi Keegan and Joe will be able to play their 3rd place match either. And there is a pretty substantial money differential there between 3rd and 4th place.
14 serves 19.
I mean, I think you can go to Ruth Chris if you finished in 3rd. I'm not sure you can go to Joe's Crab Shack if you finish in 4th. I'm trying to make an analogy that you can relate to.
You got the saliva pouring out of my mouth right now. Nadi Alvarado clearly has a back wall setup, and he decides to take it out of the air. And the Alvarado Toddy Silveyra group unable to score points when they have the chance
19.
to get into the box here.
Screen. (14-19).
Score is 14-19 as you see Joe McCann give a huge setup to Toddy Silveyra. Another huge setup to Nadi Alvarado, who decides to hit it to Desi, who's got such great hands. I just wouldn't be hitting any balls to him. You see Joe McCann is unable to get anything that's down low, and yet these guys are still hitting balls to Desi Keegan.
15 serves 19.
Well, Dave, as a player, when you're as injured as Joe is right now, is it really worth it to still be in there?
Yes.
Okay.
You traveled 18 hours to get here. We don't know what the injury is. Perhaps he can rest it off tonight and come back and play strong tomorrow.
Well, word is that it's a pulled groin, and that is at least a 4-week injury. You know, Dave, Desi is not known as a get artist, and he will have to be an unbelievable get artist if he's going to be able to carry this team into the victory lane.
19 serves 15.
Well, you can score 2 quick points with an injured player, Dave. Doesn't matter.
Well, I'm not disagreeing with that, but can you score 11 points in a tiebreaker?
Well, they've scored 3.
20 serves 15.
Since the injury. And the Alvarado, Toddy Silveyra have not been
20
playing
serves 15.
good handball here. I mean, he's had 6 side outs. Toddy just decides to patty cake that. I believe they should be patty caking every shot to Joe McCann.
20 serves 15.
Because he can't go for a kill shot. He can't bend down. Everything should be at Joe. You should never hit one ball to Desi Keegan. I think Toddy Silveyra has the right approach here, where he just slightly paddled the ball over to Joe McCann and got that side out.
20 serves 15.
We'll be going to a tiebreaker if Desi scores his 21st point here. And this could be it right here.
Okay.
And it is. We're going to go to a tiebreaker. 5-minute break. We'll be back for game number 3. You stick around at racefor8.com.
Here we go. We're gonna make some juice.
It's gonna be good.
She's excited. A little bit of kale.
Please don't put this on.
I'm putting it all over the line.
It's wet. It needs something. No, it'll go.
Don't break my juicer. Looks good.
You ready to try it?
Come on, baby.
Challenge your kids to be active and eat healthy.
It's okay.
Okay, all right.
They might surprise you.
Hey, she took another sip. You saw it?
Search We Can for more ideas on how you and your kids can get healthy together.
Here we go. We're gonna make some juice.
It's gonna be good.
Working and working out takes a lot of energy. That's why I drink Zenergy. Feeling fantastic and looking good has never been easier. Science, extreme science for your active lifestyle.
Rethink what you know about this Vegas icon. Elevate your expectations at the Stratosphere Hotel, Casino, and Tower. See what's new, up, down, and all around.
Are you getting this, honey?
Oh, prime time. We are rolling.
All right, Mama's gonna bring it home. Mama's gonna bring it home. Okay.
Come on, watch this guy.
Oh, backwards.
Oh, don't. Oh.
It went into Bob and Carol's yard. Oh, no? Okay, here it comes.
Oh, no!
Challenge your kids to be active and eat healthy.
All right, let's see what you can do. Let's go.
They might surprise you. Search We Can for more ideas on how you and your kids can get healthy together.
My life is full of statistics. Thing is, I could have dropped out of school and become one myself, but I didn't because I had people that believed in me. Here's another statistic. 7,000 students drop out every school day. That's one every 26 seconds. It's time that students know that we believe in them.
Inspire a student and share your message of support at boostup.org.
At Shelters, you'll discover healthy and loving animals just waiting to become a part of your family. Why wait? You can make a difference in the life of an animal. A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person and adopt your new best friend today. To find out more, visit theshelterpetproject.org.
Working and working out takes a lot of energy. That's why I drink Zenergy. Feeling fantastic and looking good has never been easier. Science, extreme science for your active lifestyle.
My name is Bruce Fabrizio. In 1975, I invented Simple Green based on 3 principles. It had to be safer to use, it had to work, and it had to be completely made in America. From generation to generation, Simple Green has been cleaning everything from car engines and tools to kitchen counters and floors. No matter what you clean, indoors or outdoors, clean it with non-toxic, biodegradable Simple Green.
timeout. He has 7 minutes left. It's injury timeout. What? Last 7 minutes.
My name is Bruce Fabrizio. In 1975, I invented Simple Green based on 3 principles. It had to be safer to use, it had to work, and it had to be completely made in America. From generation to generation, Simple Green has been cleaning everything from car engines and tools to kitchen counters and floors. No matter what you clean, indoors or outdoors, clean it with non-toxic, biodegradable Simple Green.
And we are stepping back in here for game number 3 between Nadi Alvarado and Toddy Silveyra. You see Nadi go down low immediately versus Joe McCann, who came over to our booth during the timeout and said, I'm growing prone. He said, I've been pulling the right one. I've been working through that. Now it's my left. And he also closed it out, Dave, with the Desi Keegan's going to roll out 11 points here.
Well, they'll have to get into the server's box first.
It's hard to do when you have that. Toddy Silveyra is able to break over the top of the ball as good as anybody I've ever seen.
Oh, you see how Toddy uses his lower body to create that type of shot. He loads up on his back foot and then pushes into it. But rather than taking a step or 2 back, he actually just rocks back on that back foot.
2-0.
Similar, Dave, to a baseball swing. We load up on the back foot, I believe, and they just make that quick transfer.
3-0. 1. I called it good. 1 disagrees, 1 agrees. Point. 4-0.
4-0 is the score here.
Zero serves 4. Over, hold it.
And Dave, not an unexpected start here for Nadi and Toddy as they're completely taking advantage of this injured Irishman.
Damn. Can you open this?
Have a broken ball here, which is no wonder when you have some of these top hitters. Now, I said earlier that how many balls will they break? Well, it's only been 1.
Well, the challenge, Dave, when you break a ball is trying to open up the new can. Is I know you've tried this, Dave, but for some reason the cap doesn't pop off of that can. It's very difficult. You have to start stepping on it. You have to put gloves on so you don't cut your fingers off trying to rip off the seal.
And you see a guy that's going to be in basic training here within the next month, trying to break the seal here. Now he got a signing bonus. Now you have guys jumping on the can down in the stands here, trying to break it. I think you might want to get the first aid kit.
Actually, you have to put gloves on if you're going to crack that seal once it is stuck.
You see Briar Bittigan able to break the code, and then some of the fans around there congratulating him for being able to do what he just did.
0 serves 4. Short. Second serve. Out. 0 serves 4.
And that's an avoidable hinder.
Over.
I just don't see how that's an over call, Dave. I mean, we'll take a look at this after the next rally. But that was the most blatant avoidable hinder I've ever seen. I mean, Desi actually went out of his way to get in the way. Not only did he not try to get out of the way, he intentionally went in the way.
Second serve.
And you'll see it right here, Dave.
I agree with you. These players know how to get to a ball when it's up front, dive for it and get it, but they don't know how to get out of the way.
Well, you know, Desi puts his hand up as though he's not doing anything wrong, but just because you've got your hands up doesn't mean it's not unavoidable.
Well, we saw it earlier when Paul Brady was playing Emmett Peugeot, same exact play. And they gave the avoidable to against Emmett, forced a timeout, a side out. Paul Brady scored 13 straight points after that, and that's kind of the key right there to get points against Joe McCann at this moment, is go into that deep revolving door where he has to move his feet. Hard to do. Nice return, though, from Joe. Joe's having to play 2-on-1 here. Now it looks like Nadia Alvarado is falling off the recliner.
Looked like the recliner broke. I know, Dave, you've experienced that. You lean back during the 7th inning stretch, and all of a sudden the hinges go. And there you are, all your popcorn all over the ground. Your 2-liter Coca-Cola also all over the ground.
My sack of caramels.
And don't forget the beef jerky.
6 serves 1.
I have a satchel that I wear full of that chaw. Put underneath my lip, act like I'm chewing. That's just a regular work day. You were talking about the Super Bowl, right? That's an everyday thing for you. Chocolate peanut butter ice cream.
Talking about the 7th inning stretch, the Diamondbacks versus the Padres.
Ooh, don't watch them.
Mid-April.
Don't like that Mark Grace. This could be a big setup for Toddy. Silveyra is going to go down low. Hits it to Joe. Joe's able to get the reverse back in and gets the side out.
1 serve 6. One 6.
And Dave, this match is now 1 hour and 47 minutes long, but it feels a lot longer, so if that counts for anything.
Wow.
It feels, Dave, like these guys have been on court for about 4 hours. And Desi serves that ball into the ground.
Six serves 1.
And now Desi, following a serve that goes straight into the ground, completely whiffs a ball that was just hanging in the middle of the court off the side wall.
7 serves 1.
Score is 7-1.
Not a great sequence for Desi.
I think it's a smart move here for the older guys to just hit every ball to Joe. That's an automatic shot right there from Nadia Alvarado into that right corner, flat rollout.
8 serves 1.
And Dave, certainly the fans getting the result they want to see here, but the fans also cheated out of what would have been a really great tiebreaker with Joe injuring himself. And you'll see a towel timeout here as Nadia went down on his right knee with that knee brace. But Dave, this is kind of what we live for at the U.S. Open, are these late night doubles, high scoring tiebreakers, and we just aren't going to see that here because of Joe's injury.
And Joe's really ailing there. It's his left groin that he pulled.
Short. Second serve.
Toddy Silveyra trying to jump over that ball, Dave, was unable to get off the hardwood.
Well, I don't think he needed to keep going to his left there. He could have just planted himself and the ball would have been to his left, but he jumped into the ball.
9 serves 1.
We have one more match that will be broadcast live here, and I take great pride in saying that, handing that golden microphone to you to broadcast that match tonight. Vince Munoz, Marco Chavez versus Michael Keegan and Mr. Coonan. Will be a great honor for me, and I almost brings a tear to my eye to talk about it.
It'll be a great honor for me to hand you the golden microphone during the men's final. Actually, I'm not kidding.
Huh? Really? Why is that?
Second serve.
Well, we don't need to get into that on the live broadcast here.
Okay. Oh, Desi goes to that little sidearm Southern California paddle shot. Didn't know he had it.
1 serves 10.
Desi says that's a shot he uses a lot in 60 by 30 softball, but he would not use that in 60 by 30 hardball.
Well, you only do that one time in hardball, and then you stop playing. Joe McCann trying to go with a whip there, half out. Desi Keegan's gonna have to roll 10 straight points here because I believe the writing's on the wall here.
Well, it's been etched already, Dave, so that's actually quite a bit more significant than writing. I don't know if we can get a camera on our wooden draw sheet. It's really more so for the fans here to follow the action.
10 serves 1.
The plaque for the alternates, Dave, is in the ladies' room.
And there it is, 11-1. Nadi and Toddy taking down Desi and Joe. We're going to say goodbye for a couple minutes. We'll be back for another match as Vince Munoz and Marco Chavez go up against Mike Keegan and Gerard Coonan. Get ready for that. Dave Fink, Dave Vincent. Bye. Be back in just a bit. RaceFreight.com.
Hello, I'm Bruce Fabrizio, inventor of Simple Green. Our non-toxic, biodegradable, all-purpose cleaner works great for cleaning. Thank you. Non-toxic, biodegradable, Simple Green. It's great for cleaning.
For 20 years, the Inner City Handball Association has educated, mentored, and served young people through handball. Young people that participate in the Inner City Handball Association programs have a high graduation rate from high school and continue on to college. Inner City Handball teams are good athletes, good students, and good ambassadors for the sport of handball. We need your help to continue our work. Inner City Handball Association is a registered 501c3 tax-exempt charity. Please donate today. Thank you.
You're on your way to meet up with friends, but you can't seem to get anywhere quickly. You don't want your friends to be annoyed, so you text. You're on your way. Five seconds is the average time your eyes are off the road while texting while driving. Make sure you get where you're going.
For that, do you want to know the bitches for saying that?
At Shelters, you'll discover healthy and loving animals just waiting to become a part of your family. Why wait? You can make a difference in the life of an animal. A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person and adopt your new best friend today. To find out more, Visit theshelterpetproject.org.